There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown.
The post-flood Nephilim. If the biblical flood wiped out the offsprings of the fallen angels, known as the Nephilim, then how is it that we see their descendants all throughout the post-flood world? Here are some accounts of the Nephilim in the post-flood world as described in the Old Testament. In the book of Numbers, Moses sent 12 spies from the 12 tribes of Israel to explore the land of Canaan. The men came back and reported that they had seen the Nephilim, the sons of Anak, which come of the giants. They stated that they were so massive in size that they were like grasshoppers compared to them. The book of Numbers, chapter 13, verse 33. And there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, which come of the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight. In the book of Deuteronomy, the Israelites are discouraged from entering the land of Canaan. They stated that the people who dwell there are greater and taller, and their cities are great and have tall walls that reach up to the heavens. Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 1, verse 28. Whither shall we go up? Our brethren have discouraged our heart, saying, the people is greater and taller than we. The cities are great and walled up to heaven. And moreover, we have seen the sons of the Anakims there. Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 2, verse 21. A people great, and many, and tall, as the Anakims, but the Lord destroyed them before them, and they succeeded them, and dwelt in their stead. Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 2, verse 10. The Emims dwelt therein in times past, a people great, and many, and tall, as the Anakims. Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 2, verse 11. Which also were accounted giants, as the Anakims, but the Moabites called them Emims. The Anakim are mentioned in the Bible as a possible race of giant humanoids descended from Anak. According to the Old Testament, the Anakim lived in the southern part of the land of Canaan. The book of Genesis, chapter 14, verses 5 through 6, states that they inhabited the region later known as Edom and Moab in the days of Abraham. Anak is a Hebrew word that means giant, long neck, necklace. One of the most well-known encounters of a post-flood Nephilim is found in the book of Samuel, when David fights a 9-foot-tall giant known as Goliath. The book of 1 Samuel, chapter 17. Now the Philistines gathered together their armies to battle, and were gathered together at Socho, which belongeth to Judah, and pitched between Socho and Azekah and Ephdamim. And Saul and the men of Israel were gathered together, and pitched by the valley of Elah, and set the battle in array against the Philistines. And the Philistines stood on a mountain on the one side, and Israel stood on a mountain on the other side, and there was a valley between them. And there went out a champion out of the camp of the Philistines, named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. And he had an helmet of brass upon his head, and he was armed with a coat of mail, and the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of brass. In the book of Deuteronomy, there is an account of the last living Nephilim king. This Nephilim king had a giant iron bed frame that was about 9 cubits in length, which is almost 14 feet tall. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 3, verse 11. For only Og, king of Bashan, remained of the remnant of giants. Behold, his bedstead was a bedstead of iron. Is it not in Rabbath of the children of Ammon? 9 cubits was the length thereof, and 4 cubits the breadth of it, after the cubit of a man. The book of 2 Samuel speaks of an account of a great battle that happened where the sons of giants were slain. 2 Samuel also speaks of a great battle in Gath, where there was a monstrous man of great stature, with 6 fingers on each hand, and 6 toes on each foot. The book of 2 Samuel, chapter 21, verse 18. And it came to pass after this, that there was again a battle with the Philistines at Gob. Then Sibbechai the Husthite slew Saph, which was of the sons of the giant. The book of 2 Samuel, chapter 21, verse 20. And there was yet a battle in Gath. There was a man of great stature, that had on every hand 6 fingers, and on every foot 6 toes, 24 in number, and he also was born to the giant. This account, found in 2 Samuel chapter 21, verse 20, matches Native American stories about their ancestors being in constant battles with tribes of cannibalistic giants that had 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot, with double rows of teeth. These accounts, found in the Old Testament, prove the existence of Nephilim and the constant turmoil that existed between them and humans. So how did some of the Nephilim manage to survive the biblical flood? I have looked into 3 theories about how they managed to survive the flood and settle in the land of Canaan. The first theory that was proposed is that one of Noah's sons' wives had Nephilim DNA, and that's how the Nephilim survived after the flood. However, this theory doesn't make sense because it doesn't seem like God would allow anything on the ark that doesn't fully belong to him, such as any traces of genetic Nephilim corruption. The second theory proposed is that the fallen angels caused another insurgence after the flood, where they mated with the daughters of man and created the Nephilim once again. However, this theory also doesn't make much sense. According to the book of Enoch and the modern biblical canon, the fallen angels were thrown into the abyss. The abyss is a spiritual prison for fallen angels for the crime of corrupting mankind. This would suggest that they were not able to reproduce again since they are in the spiritual prison. The only thing they can do is influence man in the form of dreams, visions, nightmares, and possessions. The third theory is the one that makes the most sense, and that is that the Nephilim had their own ark. Throughout the scriptures, we see evidence of the accuser constantly taking what God creates and inverting it. An example of this is God creating humans and Satan inverting his creation. God created humans as a blessed creation that was made to be an image of his own eternity. Satan inverts his creation and creates the Nephilim abominations, and I believe he did the same thing with Noah's ark. Evidence for the Nephilim having their own ark is found in the apocryphal Book of Giants and an ancient Mesopotamian epic titled the Epic of Gilgamesh. The Epic of Gilgamesh is an epic poem from ancient Mesopotamia written on 12 tablets in 650 BC. The epic was composed in the form of a poem. The main figure is Gilgamesh, who actually may have been the same person who commissioned the Tower of Babel after the flood. The Epic of Gilgamesh starts by introducing the deeds of the hero Gilgamesh. He was one who had great knowledge and wisdom, and preserved information of the days before the flood. Gilgamesh wrote on tablets of stone all that he had done, including building the city walls of Uruk and its temple for Eanna. He was an oppressive ruler, which caused his subjects to cry out to the gods to create a nemesis to cause Gilgamesh strife. After one fight, this nemesis, Enkidu, became best friends with Gilgamesh. The two set off to win fame by going on many dangerous adventures in which Enkidu is eventually killed. Gilgamesh then determines to find immortality, since he now fears death. It is upon his search that he meets Utnapishtim, a character that resembles the biblical Noah. In brief, Utnapishtim had become immortal after building a ship to weather the great deluge that destroyed mankind. He brought all of his relatives and all species of creatures aboard the vessel. Utnapishtim released birds to find land, and the ship landed upon a mountain after the flood. The story then ends with tales of Enkidu's visit to the underworld. Even though many similarities exist between the Epic of Gilgamesh flood story and the Genesis flood story, there still are serious differences. Here is a table comparing the two flood stories. There are many similarities and many differences. In the book of Genesis, the shape of the ark was rectangular, and in the Epic of Gilgamesh, the shape of their ark was square. I believe that the ark in the Epic of Gilgamesh was the Ark of the Nephilim, and the animals on this ark were hybrid monsters that the fallen angels had created. It's quite possible this ark landed in the land of Canaan, and these Nephilim and hybrid monsters created and established kingdoms in these lands. The Book of the Giants is an apocryphal book which expands upon the Genesis narrative. It is believed to be written in the 2nd century BC, but it could be much older than that. Like the Book of Enoch, the Book of the Giants retells the flood story in detail and elaborates on the exploits of the giants and the hybrid monsters, especially the two children of the fallen angel Shemyaza. No complete manuscript exists. However, we have just enough fragments to tell us enough information about the flood story. Most of the content of the present fragments concerns the giants' ominous dreams and Enoch's effort to interpret them and to intercede with God on the giants' behalf. In the Book of the Giants began to be troubled by a series of dreams and visions. Mahweh, the Titan son of the angel Barakel, reports the first of these dreams to his fellow giants. He sees a tablet being immersed in water. When it emerges, all but 3 names have been washed away. The dream evidently symbolizes the destruction of all but Noah and his sons by the flood. Fragment 2Q26. They drenched the tablet in the water. The waters went up over the tablet. They lifted out the tablet from the water of. The giant goes to the others, and they discuss the dream. 4Q530, Fragment 7. The vision is for cursing and sorrow. I am the one who confessed. The whole group of castaways that I shall go to. The spirit of the slain, complaining about their killer and crying out that we shall die together and be made an end of. Much and I will be sleeping and bread for my dwelling, the vision, and also entering into the gathering of the giants. Ohia, and he said to Mahweh, without trembling, who showed you all the vision? My brother, Barakel, my father, was with me. Before Mahweh had finished telling what he had seen, said to him, now I have heard wonders. If a barren woman gives birth. 4Q530, Fragment 4. Thereupon Ohia said to Haya, to be destroyed from upon the earth, and the earth, when they wept before the giants. 4Q530, Fragment 7. Your strength. Thereupon Ohia said to Haya. Then he answered, it is not for us, but for Azael, for he did. The children of angels are the giants, and they would not let all their proved ones be neglected. We have not been cast down. You have strength. The giants realize the futility of fighting against the forces of heaven. The first speaker may be Gilgamesh. Fragment 4Q531. I am a giant, and by the mighty strength of my arm and my own great strength, any mortal, and I have made war against them, but I am not able to stand against them for my opponents. But I am not able to stand against them for my opponents reside in heaven, and they dwell in the holy places. and not. They are stronger than I. Of the wild beast has come, and the wild man they call me. Then Ohiah said to him, I have been forced to have a dream. The sleep of my eye vanished to let me see a vision. Now I know that on Gilgamesh. Ohiah's dream vision is of a tree that is uprooted except for 3 of its roots. The vision's import is the same as that of the first dream. 3 of its roots, while I was watching, there came. They moved the roots into this garden, all of them, and not. Ohiah tries to avoid the implications of the visions. Above he stated that it referred only to the demon Azazel. There he suggests that the destruction is for the earthly rulers alone. Fragment 4Q530 concerns the death of our souls and all his comrades, and Ohiah told them what Gilgamesh said to him. And it was said concerning, the leader has cursed that potentates, and the giants were glad at his words. Then he turned and left. More dreams afflict the giants. The details of this vision are obscure, but it bodes ill for the giants. The dreamers speak first to the monsters, then to the giants. Thereupon 2 of them had dreams, and the sleep of their eye fled from them, and they arose and came to, and told their dreams, and said in the assembly of their comrades, the monsters, in my dreams I was watching this very night, and there was a garden, gardeners, and they were watering 200 trees, and large shoots came out of their root, all the water and the fire, all the garden. They found the giants to tell them the dream. Someone suggests that Enoch be found to interpret the vision. To Enoch, the noted scribe, and he will interpret for us the dream. Thereupon his fellow Ohiah declared and said to the giants, 2 had a dream this night, O giants, and behold, the ruler of heaven came down to earth, and such is the end of the dream. Thereupon all the giants and monsters grew afraid, and called Maweh. He came to them, and the giants pleaded with him, and sent him to Enoch, the noted scribe. They said to him, to you that you have heard his voice. And he said to him, he will, and interpret the dreams, how long the giants have to live. After a cosmic journey, Maweh comes to Enoch and makes his request. He mounted up in the air like strong winds, and flew with his hands like eagles. He left behind the inhabited world, and passed over desolation, the great desert. And Enoch saw him, and hailed him. And Maweh said to him, hither and thither, a second time to Maweh. The giants awage your words, and all the monsters of the earth has been carried from the days of there, and they will be added. We would know from you their meaning. 200 trees that from heaven came down. Enoch sends back a tablet with its grim message of judgment, but with hope for repentance. 4Q530, Fragment 2. The scribe Enoch, copy of the second tablet that Enoch sent, in the very handwriting of Enoch, the noted scribe, in the name of God the Great and Holy One, to Shemyaza and all his companions, let it be known to you that not, and the things you have done, and that your wives, they and their sons, and the wives of their sons, by your licentiousness on the earth, and there has been upon you, and the land is crying out, and complaining about you, and the deeds of your children, the harm that you have done to it, until Raphael arrives. Behold, destruction is coming, a great flood, and it will destroy all living things, and whatever is in the deserts and the seas, and the meaning of the matter, upon you for evil. But now loosen the bonds binding you to evil. A fragment apparently detailing a vision that Enoch saw. 4Q531, Fragment 7. Great fear seized me, and I fell on my face. I heard his voice. He dwelt among human beings, but he did not learn from them. After finding out of the coming destruction brought upon the Nephilim and monsters, the Nephilim make the decision to build their own ark, which I believe landed in the land of Canaan after the flood. This is why the Old Testament speaks of constant battles and turmoil between God's people and the Nephilim, such as the Anakim. This is what the book of Genesis was referring to when God told the accuser that he would put enmity between thee and the woman, between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. The Nephilim existing in the land of Canaan would also explain why God told the Israelites to wipe out men, women, and even children in the land of Canaan. These people were known as the Amalekites. They were not human. They were the descendants of the Nephilim and the hybrid monsters. Even though the Nephilim's physical forms have been wiped out, their spirits remain on earth till Judgment Day. The Nephilim in their physical form have caused problems before the flood and also after the flood. And even to this day, they are causing problems in their spiritual forms. Demonic spirits causing destruction, torment, possession, and oppression. 1/3 of Jesus' ministries was spent dealing with these Nephilim spirits in the New Testament. Based on abductive reasoning and comparative stories, I believe that the Nephilim had their own ark, and this is how they possibly survived the flood. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this video was very fruitful. If you would like to support this channel, I do have a Patreon. The link is in the bio below. Thank you guys so much. Please let me know your honest thoughts in the comment section below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Till next time.